What's going on, people? Welcome to another In Motion Football live stream. My name is Alam, and today we got quarterbacks to talk about. So, the part of the offseason where we fixate over free agency and signings and trades and evaluate every team's moves are over. We're past that. We're going to now get into the draft part of the offseason. We're really going to pivot to that day in the end of April, that first round. Where typically franchises make some major decisions that really have lasting impacts for a few years after that. So, with that being said, we're going to get things started. Today, we're talking about quarterbacks. We're going to talk about every team in the NFL, to what degree they have quarterback needs, and then we're going to really get into what does that mean for their approach come the draft in April. So before I get into that, make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Shout out to everybody watching live. 5 people tuned in. To anybody watching this on replay, you have the same opportunity to support the content. Likes and subscriptions are very important. I see my guys are in here. I see Sai is in here. I see Jen Will is in here. So yeah, we're gonna get right into it. Man said Jimmy is a fraud. Who's Jimmy? Who is Jimmy and why are they a fraud? Is my question. All right, well, we're about to get right into it. So, like I said, we're talking quarterbacks today. We're gonna talk about Diggs and Russell Wilson at the end of the draft. Jimmy Butler. Oh yeah. You guys handled Golden State. Golden State's been good too. That was actually a really interesting game for Miami. I guess that what that shows you is that the players hated him. But yeah, we're about to jump into it. So, we're gonna start with Arizona's quarterback room. Kyler, that's hard to read if I highlight it. You know what? Fuck that. Just gonna have to read it out. But yeah, they got that's still pretty small. Do I have to make it? What happens if you know what? Nah, never mind. Don't worry about it. Anyways, they got Kyler Murray, Jacoby Brissett, and Clayton Tune. So that quarterback room is locked up. Arizona has no quarterback needs. They have a starter, a backup, and a 3 because Clayton Tune was actually their 2 last year. So that's Arizona. Atlanta. As of right now, they have Penix, Cousins, and some random dude. So I think Atlanta has a chance to potentially draft somebody as a 3. If they get rid of Kirk, they're not going to draft the 2, so that would be a free agent signing. So we're gonna leave that option off the table for Atlanta. If they go for a quarterback in the draft, it's definitely going to be a late round pick, somebody to just compete for the 3 spot, maybe develop to be a cheap backup behind Penix. But Atlanta doesn't really have a major need. Morgan Fox ATL. Hold on. Oh, we're hating Morgan Fox. That's interesting. That's a very interesting guy to have beef with. Next depth chart we're gonna look at is Baltimore. So they got Lamar, Cooper Rush, and then Devin Leary, their 6th-round pick from last year. So that's 1, 2, 3 sorted. There's no room there. But hilariously, Cooper Rush is so different than the other 2 quarterbacks there. This is very much a what is a polar bear doing in Arlington quarterback room. Hilarious that Cooper Rush is the backup there. But yeah, Baltimore has no needs. The Bills, they got Josh Allen and Mitch Trubisky, and then Bukele and Mike White were both on the team last year. So you got 2 guys competing for the 3. The Bills quarterback room is locked up. There's no needs there. Carolina, boom, Joey Mega. Nah, man. What's it called? Trump sent one of his strongest soldiers to the Canadian border, sending him to Buffalo. Carolina, they got Bryce Young and Andy Dalton 1 and 2. That's locked up. If anything, they'll draft a late round quarterback to compete with this Jack Plummer guy. I don't know if he has any relation to Jake Plummer, but yeah, they could draft somebody late to compete. So early on, like I've just looked at a few teams, right? And we still don't really have any teams that need 1s or 2s. And that's the exercise that I'm kind of trying to achieve here is identifying even how many teams there are that need a 1 or a 2. Because teams that are looking for 3s, they're not really going to draft quarterbacks to like round 5 or round 7. Do you believe in or do you have faith in Young? Not to be an elite quarterback, but I think he could be like a top 16 quarterback. This is what I would say. I would say top 16 quarterback, top half of the league. But to be like a top 5, no. Top 10, that's maybe like his ceiling for me. I mean, they have to. The one issue with Allen, occasional turnover issues, can resurface under pressures, relies heavily on athleticism. Now, he's definitely a baller. But yeah, I mean, I think he did a good job of dealing with the turnovers last year as a whole. But even in that playoff game, I think the first two passes against Kansas City, like they both should have been picked and they were dropped. So that was kind of strange to see. It definitely wasn't a good sign for that game. They have no other choice. That's true. The Panthers aren't going to do anything else. But yeah, in terms of a long term outlook, nah. But like, I'm not mad at them relying on Bryce Young early. Okay. Where are we at? Oh yeah. So the Bears. Um, Caleb obviously has one spot locked down. Ben Johnson is inheriting these two undrafted free agents behind him, Tyson Bagent and Austin Reed. Like maybe the Bears could want to upgrade the backup spot, but they're not going to have a young quarterback and a young backup, like a young one and a young two. So if they draft somebody again, they're going to be drafting a three, so it would be a late round pick. So Chicago doesn't really have a need. Joe Burrow and Jake Browning, the Bengals have a one and a two as well. They actually don't have a quarterback three at all. So they don't really have a young developmental guy. I think Browning is almost 30. Burrow's probably going to be pushing 30 soon. They could draft somebody to be a cheap backup for Burrow, but again, that's a QB3. Cleveland Browns, they have Deshaun Watson who tore his Achilles again in January, so he's definitely not gonna like he's QB4, QB5. He's not really in consideration. The only quarterback they have under roster for next year is Kenny Pickett, so the Browns definitely need. I would say Pickett is a two. Like the Browns need a one, and they need a three. Um, Oddly enough, I don't think they'll be drafting. Not oddly enough, they won't be drafting two quarterbacks. So they're either going to acquire a veteran and draft a three, or they're gonna draft a one and then have a veteran three. But yeah, they also towards confidence. Browns are absolutely a mess. Browns are absolutely a mess. Um, yeah, actually, I think I can zoom in a little bit more. So yeah, hold on. Can you guys still read this if I do this? Nah, it's kind of whack. Anyways, but yeah, Browns, they definitely need to draft a quarterback. So we can look at the Browns as the first team that we can seriously say, you know what? Yeah, they need a one or a two. Like they need to make a serious move for a quarterback in this draft. That's one team so far, though. Next team we're going to look at is the Dallas Cowboys. So the Dallas Cowboys right now have journeyman Will Grier as the backup. And there's probably not a high chance he makes the team. Like this is a guy who hasn't really spent much time on NFL rosters. So the Cowboys technically only have Dak Prescott, who's I think like 32 or 33 now. So the word around the streets is that the Cowboys are definitely drafting a quarterback to be Dak's backup. So because they're drafting a two, and again, Dallas is up to this point probably the second team that we're looking at that wants to draft the number one or a two. I mean, I think Dallas could take a quarterback as early as round three. Yeah, in their situation, I think you just paid Dak a lot of money. It would be a little too aggressive to take a quarterback in round two. Um, but yeah, Sai, this is definitely the conversation. We're gonna have to talk about whether this happens. Um, Will Greer, one of my name of my former high school teacher. Damn, I mean, it sounds like a common enough name. Sounds like a common enough name. I said I'm proud of him. Yeah, man, your high school teacher made it all the way to the Cowboys. But yeah, Dallas is probably again like this team with the second biggest quarterback need going into the draft that we've gone through so far. But yeah, it won't be round one or round two like Cleveland, which I think has to be round one or round two in terms of when Cleveland will take a quarterback. The Broncos, they got Bo Nix as their starter. They signed Jared Stidham to a backup contract. So they could maybe draft a quarterback three to develop as a backup for after Stidham. But again, they're not really going to make a major move at the quarterback position. And then the Lions, they got Jared Goff, Hendon Hooker, and Kyle Allen. So they just signed Kyle Allen, and his contract dictates that he's probably a three. So you have again Detroit 1, 2, 3. They don't have a quarterback need at all. And I think the fact that they signed Allen probably means that they won't be trading Hooker. So yeah, Hendon Hooker the two, Kyle Allen the three, Goff the one. That quarterback room has no needs. Packers quarterback room similarly has three quarterbacks that I think they like. They drafted Clifford in the 5th round 2 years ago. They traded for Malik Willis, and he actually played decent football. And then they have Jordan Love, obviously. So the Packers have no quarterback needs whatsoever. They won't be drafting a quarterback. Houston, you got Stroud and Mills as the 1 and 2. though they've been the one or two, I think they've been the 1 and the 2 for each of the last 2 years. So that those spots are set. Maybe they drafted 3 because I think Mills, this is his last year under contract. But again, that's not necessarily set in stone either, because they do have younger quarterbacks. They might want a more veteran 3. Case Keenum has been the 3 recently. So yeah, the Texans have like a small chance of drafting a quarterback late. Next team, the Indianapolis Colts. They're look, so AR and Daniel Jones, those are definitely the 1 and the 2. They have some guy named Jason Bean as the 3 right now. I mean, I don't think he makes the. I don't think that's realistically going to be the 3. So the Colts, because they have such a mess at quarterback, I mean, it would probably be smart for them to draft a 3, and then who knows, maybe that player is good. And if not, then shit, you never know. Maybe that maybe if the quarterback you draft to be quarterback 3, if he turns out to be good, you start him, and if he doesn't, then he's the backup long term. Oh man, these guys are reminding me that the Raptors are winning. I hate it here, man. I hate it here. We're definitely gonna pick 7 or later. Nah, bro, the Heat beating the Warriors was huge. It was absolutely huge for the Raptors. Stay out of the play-in chances. Nah, man. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Okay, next quarterback room we're gonna look at Jacksonville Jaguars. So they have Trevor Lawrence. That's a 1 locked in. They signed Nick Mullins to be a backup, and then John Wolford is being inherited. So they might draft a 3. You know, they have an older backup. They have a quarterback that's starting, that's aging. I think he's probably touching his late 20s. So the Jaguars have a chance to draft a 3. But yeah, just like a quick update while I've been doing this, guys, if you haven't been able to tell, there's only 2 teams that have come up so far that need to make a move for a 1 or a 2. Everybody up to this point that has the chances of drafting a quarterback, they all would be in the market for drafting a 3rd quarterback. So this is, again, that's late in the draft. You do that round 5, 6, 7. But yeah, we're going to keep that in mind as we keep going. Not that many quarterback needy teams. The Kansas City Chiefs are the next team. They have Mahomes, Minshew, and they signed Zappy. So that's 1, 2, 3 done right there. They don't have any type of a quarterback need. LA Chargers, shout out to Genwell. They got their 1 and 2 locked in with Herbert and Heineke. But they don't have a 3. And like I said, their backup is over 30. Herbert is, I think, like 27, 28. So I could see them trying to draft a quarterback 3 to be the backup going forward, like after Heineke. So that's a team that has a chance of drafting somebody. But again, quarterback 3, not a major move. LA Rams, you got Stafford, Garoppolo, 1 and 2 locked up. Stetson Bennett at quarterback 3, 4th round pick 2 years ago. I'm inclined to say we only have... See, but the thing is, that's actually a stupid thing to do because you get a free spot to have a 3rd quarterback dressed. Like, did you guys not have anybody on the practice squad? Because you're allowed to have a 3rd quarterback dressed that doesn't count towards the 46-man active roster, like on game day. That's crazy. Like, you should just have a 3rd guy there just to develop a cheap backup. And you get a free spot to roster them. So yeah, I mean, maybe they're not going to draft a quarterback, but they really should. Okay, if it's on the practice squad, okay, then you guys probably wouldn't draft one. But if you guys put quarterback 3 on the practice squad, then that makes, I mean, like, that's just your way of doing it. But yeah, the Rams, they have Stetson Bennett. I don't know, a 4th round pick from 2 years ago, so they probably keep him, but maybe they want to upgrade him. Again, though, not a major move. LA, no, these are the Vegas Raiders. Okay, this is probably where, like, there's a decent chance to make a move, but this is kind of a complicated situation. Like, they traded for Geno Smith. He's clearly going to start. Now, apparently they're going to give him a contract. I doubt they give him a big contract. There was rumors that they were going to, like, give him a 5-year deal or something. I always thought that was ridiculous. With Geno, I don't think they're going to give him a deal that makes him, like, entrenched for the next 2-3 years. Yeah, facts. I tried to send the Raiders back to LA. But yeah, like, he's clearly going to start this year. So anybody you draft, you're drafting for the future. Like, you're drafting for You're putting that draft capital into something that is not going to contribute, barring disaster this year. So I just want to keep that in mind with the Raiders. Like, yes, they need a quarterback, but they also traded a third round pick in exchange for some security and exchange for some patience. That's really what Geno Smith lets you do. Is you don't have to panic to get a quarterback the way the Browns do. Um, so yeah, I mean, the Raiders situation I think is complicated because they quietly could also just not move for a quarterback. They could roll with Geno as the starter, Aiden O'Connell as the backup, and then maybe draft a third quarterback later in the draft. But the Raiders have a lot of like options to go here. For me, the following teams need quarterback. No, I agree. You, but yeah, you got some of the teams, but also quietly there's some other ones too. Just at the Raiders pick. Tom Brady for one season. That would be wild. That would be wild. But I feel like he might be better than some options out there. But yeah, the Raiders, they could go a lot of different directions. They could take a quarterback in the first round. They could also not take a quarterback. You want TB12 to get murdered. Nah, bro, they don't hit quarterbacks anymore. Also, it's Brady. If you touch him, 15-yard penalty. He would be fine. He would be fine. They are not allowed to touch Tom Brady. Uh, Dolphins, they have Tua and Zach Wilson, so that's 1 and 2 locked up. Again, you you have to assume Tua's going to miss some games, so they know that their quarterback 3 is always going to be one snap away from playing at some point. So they probably draft somebody to develop as a QB3. Vikings, they have McCarthy and then some random guy. The thing is, they're not going to draft a young quarterback to be the 2 behind McCarthy. If anybody, they'll draft somebody to be 3. Um, so yeah, again, Vikings, another team that are not going to make a big investment into a quarterback in come draft time. So these teams are still are just they continue to pile up. Rippin is a GOAT. Is he like that? I'm sorry if I'm unfamiliar. Sorry, Brett Rippin. I was unfamiliar with your game. Who else is out here? Okay, New England Patriots. They got May, Dobbs, and Milton. 1, 2, 3 locked up. There's no needs here at the quarterback position. New Orleans Saints. Okay, so here's the thing about the Saints is they definitely need a quarterback, but they also have 3. Like Jake Hayner, 4th-round pick from 2 years ago. That's quarterback 3 standard. They already they restructured Derek Carr's contract to keep him this year, so he's gonna be the 1. And then Rattler as a backup, Rattler is backup standard quarterbacking, especially as a rookie. Like you'd figure that he's supposed to develop. So the thing about the Saints is because they have 3 guys, they could just kick the can down the road and deal with this next year. Nobody likes the quarterbacks in this draft. Part of what I'm kind of trying to illustrate is that like there's not that many teams that absolutely have to take quarterbacks. And like some teams might just decide we're going to do this next year when there's better quarterbacks out there. I think Quinn Ewers suits the Saints. I could see why you'd say that. He's definitely has, he has some Kellen Moore shit going on. I just don't think Quinn Ewers is good. So that's my issue with Quinn Ewers. But I get what you're saying. I agree. But yeah, no, the Saints, before I leave them, like that's the thing. They are like kind of similar to the Raiders. They absolutely could make a move, or they could just not. Because they do have bodies they can play. Breeze can stat pad for the Aints since they're losing. For 100, bro, they should definitely tank. You got the lovely New York Giants, man. Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Tommy DeVito. This is the greatest quarterback room ever. Now, again, this is the thing about the Giants is that they need a quarterback because they still don't have a good one, but they have 3 bodies now. Mind you, they've started Tommy DeVito in each of the last 2 years. That's definitely quarterback 3 standard. Winston is paid to be the 2. Wilson is paid to be the 1. The thing about the Giants is their situation is made extremely complicated by the fact that their coach and their GM is basically out there trying to not get fired. Like their whole offseason this year is rooted in the fact that if they don't have a good year, they're getting fired. So that for me puts me in a bit of a difficult spot when it comes to understanding what they're going to do because like You mean to tell me they're going to draft somebody in the first round that's not going to touch the field in a season where they have to coach for their jobs and manage for their jobs? I just don't buy that. I think round one, the Giants have zero chance of going quarterback. And that is because they have to spend that capital, right? Because they finished free agency. It's not like they got much better in free agency. Round one, they have to pick somebody that makes them better. They have to. So I actually don't know if the Giants go quarterback. The players aren't good. I hope they do. Like I'm telling you guys this as a rival fan, as an Eagles fan. I hope they go quarterback. What the hell? I think a lot of these quarterbacks are trash. If they go quarterback, they have a very good chance of ending up with somebody that's not that good. So I hope that happens for sure. But yeah, complicated situation with the Giants, man. They could easily just not go quarterback. Or they could go quarterback number 3 overall. With 3 bodies on the roster, they have options. But yeah, next team we're gonna look at after the Giants, I think it has to be the Jets, right? Okay, Jets, very similar. Oh yeah, man, disaster, complete like disaster in the fan base. You got the Jets here. Justin Fields is paid to be your 1. Tyrod Taylor is paid to be your 2. Jordan Travis, who led his FSU team to an undefeated season in college, as your 3. You have a 1, a 2, and a 3. Hot take about the Jets is I actually don't think they're going to draft a quarterback. I think they're also going to kick the can down the road. They have 3 bodies. Tyrod Taylor, not particularly great in terms of like a starter, but he is a 2. Jordan Travis is a viable 3. They could draft somebody to compete with Travis because it's a new coaching staff, so they might not like this guy from the past coaching staff, but like I don't know, like they have a 1 and 2 and a 3. It's not like a roster need. It's a need because we realistically know they need better. But very easily they could just not go quarterback. Philadelphia Eagles, you got Tanner McKee and Dorian Thompson Robinson from Cleveland with Jalen Hurts. That's 1, 2, 3. We're not drafting a quarterback. Pittsburgh Steelers. So as of right now, they got Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. I think Skylar Thompson is probably going to be the 3. Like I think as far as 3s go, that's decent. Mason Rudolph is definitely going to be the 2. I mean, it's tricky because if they get Aaron Rodgers, like most people expect they will, they could easily go quarterback round 1 to be their quarterback 3 and their quarterback of the future after Rodgers. Or they could just not go quarterback at all. Or they could go quarterback late to compete with Thompson. Like the Steelers also can go any which direction in the draft at quarterback. But if they get Rodgers, then they will have a 1 and a 2 on the team. So again, the Steelers situation also not so clear. We're getting to the end, people. We got the Seahawks. They got Sam Darnold as a 1. That's locked in. Sam Howell as a 2. I just realized they have Sam and Sam. They have Sam Darnold and Sam Howell. That's crazy. But yeah, you got those 2. In terms of Sam Howell, like there's a chance the new offensive coaching staff doesn't like him. Maybe they want to upgrade at 2, but I don't think that they would pay Darnold and then all of a sudden kind of unsettle him with a high draft pick. So I think Seattle's chances of taking a quarterback, they probably start round 3, round 4. But again, like they have a 1 and a 2. It's not really a situation where they need to take a quarterback. And I think need is everything in a situation like this, where the quarterbacks aren't necessarily highly rated. Niners with Purdy and Mac Jones, that's 1 and 2 locked up. They could definitely draft somebody to compete with Tanner Mordecai at 3. That's a hell of a name. Probably only a couple teams left. You got the Bucks. They got Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask locked up as 1 and 2. Could compete. Could draft somebody to compete as number 3. Maybe somebody who could take over for Trask as a backup in the future. All right. So that's Tampa Bay sorted. Okay, Tennessee. I think Will Levis and Brandon Allen are locked in as the 2 and the 3, and I think Cam Ward goes number 1. So the Tennessee Titans quarterback needs going into the draft are very obvious. They need a starter. They pick number 1 overall. They're gonna get Cam Ward. This is set. And that leaves us with the last team, the Commanders, who have Jaden Daniels and Marcus Mariota locked in at 1 and 2. And Sam Hartman, somebody they could draft somebody late to compete with. So that leads me to this document that I put together. And essentially what I did here is like everything that I just looked at, I listed it off here. So these are all the teams that could maybe draft a quarterback late. So round 5 to 7. So, I mean, these are teams, again, it's maybes. And even if they do draft somebody, it's going to be late. So these teams don't actually really matter. The teams that do matter are these teams, where there's actually a kind of semi-reasonable chance that moves get made. Again, these are the teams that don't have quarterback threes that I think could draft one, but also they could sign them. So, but if any of those moves happen, it's late. It's round 4 to 7. What really matters. Can I zoom in anymore? No, I can't. Okay, let's make the font bigger then. Okay, hell yeah, let's go. What really matters are these teams. And these are the situations. Who's the most well-known quarterback in the UFL? I don't actually know, bro. I don't actually know who the most well-known quarterbacks in the UFL are. I know in the CFL, the Saskatchewan Roughriders just added Trey Lance to their negotiation list. Hilariously, Trey Lance's dad played for the same team. So I didn't know that the Saskatchewan Roughriders had Lance heritage, but they do. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah. Okay, yeah. So these are the teams where you really have to you have to take them seriously to draft quarterbacks. And when it comes to the Seahawks, it's definitely like a maybe. Actually, they shouldn't even be the same tier as the Cowboys. It's really Cowboys, Steelers, Giants, Raiders, Browns, and Titans. Those are the teams you really have to look at for the quarterbacks that have to that as of now have to make moves. For the Cowboys, it's for a backup, so it's not quite the same as the other teams. But if you think about Cam Ward being number 1, it leaves basically the Browns, the Raiders, the Giants, and the Steelers for Shedeur. And I think the Steelers are distinctly far away from everybody else, right? You got the Browns, Raiders, and Giants at 2, 3, 3, and 6 in the draft order. And then the Steelers all the way into the 20s. I think they're like 22 or something. So there's a pretty big gap there. The question is that does Shedeur go 2, 3, or 6? Because if he doesn't go 2, 3, or 6, he ends up falling all the way to Pittsburgh. And that's kind of like why I included it in the title, like why Shedeur Sanders might fall. He might fall because the demand for quarterbacks, like quarterbacks that have to play, is just not that high. And if you don't need a quarterback to play, you don't actually have to take them that high in the draft. A lot of the teams that have to draft quarterbacks, they need to draft number 3s. You take those much further back in the draft. So I really think that it's important to talk through the Raiders, the Giants, and the Browns, and how desperate are they to draft a quarterback in the first round? Because there's 2 ways to draft. You either draft by value, like the best player available, or you draft by need. The thing about these quarterbacks is none of these quarterbacks are good enough to be drafted by value. Like when the Browns are sitting there at number 2 overall, under no circumstances is a quarterback good value, right? There's at least 5 players that are better than Shedeur Sanders as far as just good football players. Same thing applies to the Giants at 3. Same thing applies to the Raiders at 6. So the only other reason to draft a player is by need. So I think it's important here to really unpack what the need is. The Browns' need for a quarterback is very, very strong. The only issue for me is that I don't know if they need the quarterback at 2 or if they can take the quarterback at 34, because they're going to be shit anyways. Like if we here, let me see if I can quickly get us back to Cleveland. If you look at the moves that they've made, they're not trying to be good, like offensively, right? So you guys don't even have to be able to read the players' names, by the way. The names in yellow are additions, right? Look how they've only added one starter and it's a fullback. They haven't added one starter to the offensive side of the ball in free agency, right? Everybody that they've added are listed as backups currently. Now, for what it's worth, they're probably going to start Tevin Jenkins. So that name is probably not in the right place. But I say that to say, like, the Browns haven't really moved with a sense of urgency to get better. And this is why, like, I seriously think it's possible that the Browns decide, we're going to go best player available at 2. We're going to go quarterback at 34, especially when you consider the fact that the quarterbacks are going to fall in this draft because, again, they're not that good. There's not that many teams that actually need them. So if you're the Browns, and you know that, look, we do need a quarterback, but look, we're shit anyways. Like, look at this team's receivers. Jerry Jeudy is the 1, and then Cedric Tillman is the 2. They literally only have one good wide receiver. They literally only have 2 running backs under roster. The best one is Jerome Ford, and we saw that he wasn't good enough last year. Like, the Browns need value more than they need a quarterback. They need both. But the Browns need good football players. I think it's very realistic that the Cleveland Browns look at their situation and say, we just need to get better at 2. It doesn't have to be a quarterback. We have to take a quarterback at some point, but we don't have to take a quarterback at number 2. For me, issue is huge, depends on offensive line. Hold on. Issue is huge. So are you saying he depends on the offensive line? Is that the point here? Because the thing for me with Shedeur is the evaluation is difficult because his offensive line was so bad in college that he had to like fight for his life to throw the football down the field. So it makes the evaluation really difficult. I think from a style standpoint, he's not particularly mobile, which in the modern NFL isn't a good thing. Like, we have so many running quarterbacks. We just saw a Super Bowl with 2 running quarterbacks. Running quarterbacks are useful. At Colorado, it took 52 sacks due to poor offensive line. Yeah, the offensive line was horrible. That's what I'm saying. It makes the evaluation of the player really, really difficult. Pocket precision passer. So here's the thing, right? I've seen a lot of people compare Shedeur Sanders to Brock Purdy, and I understand the merits. Brock Purdy probably went later than he should have, but should Brock Purdy have gone in round 1? No. I don't know if Brock Purdy would be my comparison for him. I understand. My comparison is more like Geno Smith, Jared Goff-ish. But like, Jared Goff is a best case scenario, by the way. But yeah, I say this to say, are you going to give that kind of quarterback to this Cleveland offensive line? Sorry, this offensive unit as a whole? I don't know. I'm not really sold on the idea of the Browns going quarterback at 2. I think they go quarterback high for sure. I think they go quarterback in round 2. I just don't know about round 1. So this is kind of like my outlook on the Browns. My outlook on the Giants at 3. I already talked about it. I already kind of like brought it up, but like, bro, the Giants have to win this year. Like, they have to. Everybody there is getting fired if they don't win. There's no way they draft somebody at number 3 overall who doesn't touch the field. They signed 2 players. They signed Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. You're going to draft Shedeur Sanders to be the 3rd quarterback and never see the field next year when your job is on the line? No chance. There's no chance they take somebody who doesn't see the field. If they do, that's just like a different level of stupid from the Giants. Like, they've made some stupid decisions. But when your job is on the line to take a player that doesn't touch the field as a rookie, oh my God, you could take Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. This is the thing. Abdul Carter is a game changer. Year 1 as a rookie. Travis Hunter, game changer. Year 1 as a rookie. To pass up one of those players to take Shedeur Sanders and not play him as a rookie when your job is on the line would be ridiculous. Here's the thing. I think the Browns aren't going to take a quarterback. I'm confident the Giants aren't going to take a quarterback. So where that takes us is the Las Vegas Raiders. But bro, side that you're missing the point. That's not the point. The point is that they need to make the move that helps them the most. They're coaching and managing for their jobs. And getting an elite pass rusher or an elite corner / receiver is much better for your team right now than a third string quarterback. So then it gets to the Raiders, where the Raiders, I think, have insulated themselves from having to take a quarterback they don't love. So I'll say it this way. If they love Shedeur, they're going to take Shedeur. But if they don't have to. They can play Geno Smith. They can have Aiden O'Connell as a backup. They don't have to take Shedeur at 6. And the thing I want you guys to like really think about and consider is that like most years, the quarterbacks at the top of the draft, yeah, no, I agree, especially because of the players that are there. Most of the quarterbacks are pretty good players, man. Like last year, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels, they were all 3 of the best 5 players in the draft. Guaranteed. Guaranteed that they were one of the better 5 players in the draft. This year, that's not the case. This year, like Shedeur in most big boards is like 20 in the 20s. Like he's one of the 20, maybe the 24th, 25th best player in the draft. I don't know, man. Like I think there's a very real possibility that all of the Giants, Browns, and Raiders to say, you know what, we're going to take other positions and then we're going to wait for Shedeur to fall into the 20s and then we trade up from our second round picks. So for example, the Browns have the 34th pick, the second pick of the second round. They could jump from 34 to 27 and take a quarterback, right? And mind you, the team that they're competing with is Pittsburgh. Investigate competitive, but they put themselves, but they put themselves in unnecessary pressure. Oh no, for sure. They definitely did it to themselves. Well, we're still talking about the Giants, right? So I think this is really like Pittsburgh is really going to dictate things, because if Pittsburgh is seen as a threat to take Shedeur, then I think that scares somebody into taking Shedeur, like those teams at the top of the round. No, but this is the thing. Like, so General, I agree with you, but the point is like this is the basics of a bad decision. Like this is how it happens, right? A team puts themselves in pressure because of bad decisions. And then when they're under pressure, the pressure causes them to make another bad decision. This is how bad teams work. This is how the Giants have become the Giants. I'll walk you through it. Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, they made a bad decision with Daniel Jones. That put them under financial pressure. Made them make another bad decision with Saquon Barkley. This is how bad teams operate, my friend. They could have been in tank purgatory for another years, and fans would get it. Absolutely, but now the GM knows that if they don't like, and I would say when I say win, I mean like probably 9 wins. Like if they don't have a winning season, everybody gets fired. How does a quarterback 3 help you have a winning season? They don't. Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, they help you have a winning season. So that's why I feel really good about the Giants not taking a quarterback. But like I said, I think the Browns or the Raiders, they could get scared into drafting Shedeur if Pittsburgh is a real threat to draft a quarterback at their pick. I think is number 21. But this is where the Steelers conversation becomes very, very, very interesting, right? I think the Steelers are under a similar kind of pressure to the Giants if they sign Aaron Rodgers. Why? Because Cam Hayward has already talked about how like, hey, you know, we have some old pieces on this team. We got to try to win. They have Cam Hayward on their defense. They have Darius Slay. And if they continue building this older team with Aaron Rodgers, again, same question has to be asked. You have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback 1. You have Mason Rudolph as your quarterback 2. Does taking a quarterback to be your quarterback 3 help you win when you have a 40-year-old quarterback? No, it doesn't. Does it help you win? Does it help Cam Hayward get over the hill? Does it help Darius Slay get over the hill? No, it doesn't. Aaron Rodgers famously was really upset with the Jordan Love pick because his whole idea was like, hey, we're good. We're almost there. We have a first-round pick. We need to be – that's a prime draft pick. We need to be using that pick on something that helps us win. Jordan Love is great, but he doesn't help us win. This was Aaron Rodgers' whole issue with the Jordan Love pick. Do I think that the Steelers bring in Aaron Rodgers and then Jordan Love him again? No, absolutely not. So this is the thing. I think the timing of the Aaron Rodgers signing is going to have such a big impact on Shedeur Sanders' draft stock, because if they sign Aaron Rodgers before the draft, I think these teams don't look at them as a threat to take Shedeur Sanders in the first round. And now this is where I think Cleveland, the Giants, and the Raiders, they're comfortable not taking Shedeur in the first round. And then there's a competition to trade up for him at the end of the first round. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but Teddy Bridgewater fell in the draft, and then somebody traded into the 32nd spot of the first round. So the very last pick of the first round, they traded up into that spot to draft Teddy Bridgewater. The exact same thing happened to Lamar Jackson. When a quarterback falls to the end of the first round, teams normally, instead of letting him fall to the second round, they go and get the quarterback in the first round because you get a 5-year contract on the player. I think that could definitely happen with Shedeur Sanders if Rodgers signs with the Steelers. And then I think it basically becomes Browns, Raiders, Giants. Somebody trades with Philadelphia to get the 32 spot, and they get Shedeur Sanders. In that kind of a situation, I think I like it would be Cleveland or Las Vegas that gets the job done for me there. I think both those teams have some incentive to get it done. I think Cleveland is much closer than Vegas, so I wouldn't be surprised if they get it done. Also, the Cleveland GM came from Philadelphia, so I think he has the relationship there with Howie Roseman already. But that's what I think is going to happen, guys. If Aaron Rodgers is a Pittsburgh Steeler, I see Shedeur Sanders falling into the 20s. And when that happens, I think it just becomes a competition of who trades up into the back end of the first round to get Shedeur Sanders. And I think it's going to be really interesting to follow. But yeah, beyond that, bro, I think Jackson Dart is probably the consolation. So those three teams, if they're all kind of vying to get Shedeur, I think the two teams that lose are probably then going to be competing for Jackson Dart. I think the Cowboys, it feels like the Cowboys are a middle road destination for me. I feel like Jerry Jones wants an athletic quarterback, like an exciting running and athletic quarterback. So I think he gets Jalen Milroe. And yeah, from that point onwards, we're gonna see, but we would just be taking some guesses over there. Bro, NFL offseason is so long. Yeah, bro. Once the draft is over, they're literally it's a dead 2.5 months. Like once the draft ends, I'll probably just play Madden or NCAA on the channel for like once a week for the 2.5 months after that, just to like keep in touch with you guys. But bro, there's not gonna be shit to talk about for 2.5 months. But yeah, with these things out of the way, we're going to just quickly talk about the two signings that happened. We got the Giants signing Russell Wilson. So they gave him roughly 10 mil. Oh yeah, bro, that's what the whole other channel is for. But still, bro, like for this channel and this audience, like there's a bunch of people here that don't tune into the NBA stuff. So I definitely still want to like stay in touch with them. But yeah, Russell Wilson to the Giants. He got a QB1 contract from them. Like I said, I don't know if I love him in this offense because Dayball, I feel like he's good at getting the most out of running quarterbacks. We saw Josh Allen in Buffalo, Daniel Jones when he won a playoff game. Even like DeVito when he's played in this offense, he's done some running here and there. I don't know, man. Like, I think that they should have gone for a runner. I liked Fields for them. They ended up with Russell Wilson, though. I don't think it's going to work out. I think he had I think he had, you know what? No, like the receivers, honestly, it's a pretty similar situation to Pittsburgh, right? I think Neighbors is better than Pickens, but like both great receivers. I don't necessarily love a lot of the receivers outside of the ones, although I'd probably take Slayton over Calvin Austin. The offensive lines are like the Giants offensive line improved last year a little bit. But I mean, it's comparable to Pittsburgh's like ballpark, similar ballpark. You got Tyrone Tracy and Jalen Warren / Najee from last year. Like I think Russ has a fairly like it's a comparable supporting cast from Pittsburgh to the Giants. I don't love either one though. So I didn't like how Russell Wilson played down the stretch last year. I don't think he's going to be able to do much better here in New York. I don't love the signing. I don't think it's gonna again like I didn't think that this is the kind of quarterback they would go for to fit into Dayball's system. And yeah, I just don't think it's gonna work out. Wilson's 2024 ended with a 5-game losing streak, averaging under 200 yards per game and throwing under 60. His accuracy and decision making faltered, raising doubts consistency for a full season, critical for a Giants team needing a turnaround. Yeah, man, true facts are said here. Yeah, man, this is a stopgap move, clearly. But look, man, people's jobs are on the line, and I don't think this is gonna work in this situation. So that's not great. But it is what it is. Bad organizations make bad decisions. Man, Russell Wilson, though, I'll get to see him twice a year. He beat the Eagles for so long, and then we finally beat him last year in Pittsburgh. Shout out to King, wherever King is. But yeah, annoying as hell to go up against Russell Wilson, but I feel a lot more comfortable about going up against him nowadays. And then the last move we're going to talk about, the Patriots signing Stefon Diggs. So Stefon Diggs, this is a horrible contract. He's 30. He's going to be 32 in the middle of the year. He's coming off an ACL tear, and I do not think he wanted to spend this part of his career in New England. And I don't love when players make contract-based like free agency decisions, because the thing is like they're going there for the contract, not because they actually want to be there. And you can't escape that. Like the money hits your account, sure, but then you're gonna realize like I don't even want to be here. Do I think he wants to be there? Like he's with Cardi B. Do I think the person with dating Cardi B wants to live in Massachusetts? Hell no. Do I think he wants to be on a bad team? Hell no. Do I think he wants to face double coverage as a 32-year-old off an ACL tear? Hell no. And that's what's going to happen. I don't think New England has the supporting cast to take away double teams. This isn't prime Stefon Diggs. I don't think he's a bad player all of a sudden, but the thing is like year one off a major knee injury typically comes with some injuries. He's not going to play the whole year. He's not going to be fully healthy. He's probably not going to feel like himself. And by the time he does, he'll be 33. See, I don't know. I thought that Diggs would end up taking a 1-year deal, kind of like Odell to the, what's it called? Who did he go? Oh, he went to the Ravens. I saw that type of a situation, and I thought it would work out much better than Odell in Baltimore, by the way. But I thought he would take a 1-year deal to be a 2 or a 3 in an offense. I thought that's the move for Diggs. But yeah, I don't love this. Same thing with Cooper Kupp, by the way. I thought both of them would go for those kind of Odell type situations, but instead they go to sign up to be. I mean, at least for Kupp, he's signing up to be a 2. You know what? No, the Kupp one makes a little bit more sense. This one doesn't to me though. I really don't like this move I just think they burned money here. It's an overpay. I don't think they're gonna get what they even get what they're thinking of in their head, right? Because he's gonna not be healthy all year. He's gonna face double teams. And again, I don't think he's gonna want to be like. I don't think he wanted to be in New England on a rebuilding team at this stage of his career. So, man, Stefon Diggs though finds a way to end up in a trash like living situation, like Minnesota to Buffalo to New England. Man, come on. The year he spent in Houston must have been like paradise for him. 26 million guaranteed is a gamble if he doesn't fully recover. Patriots 69 million does likely team options a year one about his long-term viability. The impact could be muted, wasting the investment. No, I agree. I agree, man. I'm not really a huge fan of the contract. But what I hope it works out, because the thing is I like Diggs, I like May, I like Vrabel, and I'm cheering for this situation. Well, I just don't love this move, man. They needed a receiver badly. They didn't need a receiver this badly. I would have signed Amari Cooper for half the money and called it a day. But it is what it is. So yeah, I'll hang around for a little bit longer. I don't know if anybody in the chat has any questions or any specific topics they want to talk about. Feel free to get those in the chat if that's the case. But otherwise, we can wrap up pretty quickly. I want to do these kind of needs-based streams leading up to the draft. So like I want to do a wide receiver needs draft stream. It would be a little bit more complicated because quarterback needs are pretty easy to look at. It depends totally on how May plays. I think how May plays is important, but I also think that even if May is good, there's a chance Diggs doesn't live up to it. Like there's a chance that between his age and his injury issues and his just like desire to be there, I think there's a lot of Diggs related things that could go wrong. I don't even think it's necessarily has to be just May. This could go wrong for a bunch of different ways. So yeah, I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of this move. Not a huge fan of the Russell Wilson signing either. Thought they were both overpays. But at least from the Giants standpoint, I almost look at it like, yeah, you're paying too much, but you're kind of protecting yourself from making a really bad draft decision because the Russell Wilson mistake is a 1-year mistake, but potentially, I don't know, a Shedeur Sanders mistake could have been a 6 to 7 year mistake. So at least they protected themselves against that. Toronto one, god damn it, people. God damn it. But yeah, shout out to everybody that's tapped in. Make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. In Motion Football, we're out here doing draft streams leading up to the draft. We're probably going to do some mock draft streams and some mock draft reactions. So definitely tune in for when those happen. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button while you're here. So yeah, so you don't miss out on anything that we do. Like I said, a lot of draft stuff leading up to the draft. We're going to do these positional need streams. We're going to do like interactive mock drafts. We're going to react to other people's mock drafts. And it's going to be a fun time leading up to the draft when all of a sudden there'll be no football to talk about. But until then, we're going to be out here talking about every little thing we can. I got the guys in here trolling me about the Raptors failing to tank. It is what it is. Sad times. But yeah, we're going to call the stream here, people. Shout out to the people that tapped in. Like I said, I'll see you guys probably this weekend. I think this weekend is when I'll actually be able to do it. Tell them he needs to tell them to lose. Otherwise they get deported. But yeah, like I said, I'll see you guys on the weekend probably. And then some more streams next week. It's been fun. It's been real. I'll see you guys later. I'm out.